morning. I will be reading and you're hearing the passage of scripture that Smith just announced. Matthew chapter 11, 2nd through the 15th verses read, when John, who was in prison, heard about the deeds of the Messiah, he sent his disciples to ask him, are you the one who is to come, or should we expect someone else? Jesus replied, go back and report to John what you hear and see. The blind receive sight, the lame walk, those who have leprosy are cleansed, the deaf hear, the dead are raised, and the good news is proclaimed to the poor. Blessed is anyone who does not stumble on account of me. It's a whole lot there, isn't it? As John's disciples were leaving, Jesus began to speak to the crowd about John. He says, what did you go out into the wilderness to see? A reed swayed by the wind? If not, what did you go out to see? A man dressed in fine clothes? No. Those who wear fine clothes are in king's palaces. Then, what did you go out to see? A prophet? Yes, I tell you, and more than a prophet. This is the one about whom it is written, I will send my messenger ahead of you, who will prepare your way before you. Truly I tell you, among those born of women, there has not risen anyone greater than John the Baptist. Yet whoever is least in the kingdom of heaven is greater than he. From the days of John the Baptist until now, the kingdom of heaven has been subjected to violence, and violent people have been raiding it. For all the prophets in the law prophesied until John. And if you are willing to accept it, he is the Elijah who was to come. Whoever has ears, let them hear. Thus in the reading of God's holy word. That these words be labeled upon the table of our heart, and we receive further understanding.
Not gonna be long, I promise. This morning I got so much stuff on my mind, man. There are times in our lives when things do not work out exactly as you would like them to.
Yes.
Just don't work out, does it? I know it's shocking and concerning, but that is indeed how life works sometimes. Things just don't work out the way that you planned. The person you married didn't turn out to be the person you thought. You know, the job you have just didn't work out to be the job that you thought. And I doubt any rational person would argue with that. We all perhaps have been in that situation. And oftentimes, as a result of things not going our way, we get so surprised and upset when things don't go the way we expect. It's just like a theoretical concept of fairness. We all know that it doesn't exist in the known universe. Fairness? Everything fair? Yet, we get really upset when things aren't fair. But that's another topic. Let's get back to not working out how you expect. We love control. We love to know exactly how things are going to work out and what will happen after each twist and turn. I'm one of those persons. I got to know how it's going to work out. If I do A, B, things got to be this, that. If it don't work out my way, I have a tendency to get a little frustrated. I I get a little upset. But I even get irritated. Can I press that word a little further? Sometimes I just get bothered and angry. When things don't go the way I want them to, or the way the things I expect them to. Because y'all know I'm perfect. And when imperfection does not what? When imperfection kicks in, or the expectations, the only alternative is to be constantly aware of the reality that a lot of things aren't going to turn out the way that we expect. A lot of things in your life are not going to turn out the way that you expect. Right? That doesn't have to be a sad or depressing idea either. It can be an empowering idea if you think about it in the right way. It can be empowering. It can be life-giving because what would happen in your life if everything turned out to be just so perfect and the way that you expected them to be? Man, that would be no need for a whole lot of things, would it? Because in life, if things always turn out to be the way that you expected them to be, the way that you planned it, would you learn anything? No. Would you learn to trust? Would you learn to have faith? Would you learn to move up and to move on? Would you learn to shake the dust from your feet and keep on pressing on? Perhaps it's good that things sometimes don't work out in your life. John the Baptist, forerunner of Jesus, finds himself in jail. Finds himself in prison. And the one who had preached in the wilderness that said the kingdom of heaven is at hand. The one who preached to make every path straight. Finds himself in a prison cell. Why is he there? Well, he is there for nothing other than telling the truth. What truth did he tell, preacher? Herod, the king, had ordered John's arrest. Why? He did this because Herodias, his brother's wife, that he was wanting to marry her and commit adultery. John told him that it's wrong. And whenever you hold higher powers to accountability, they have a tendency to suppress. Y'all know what I'm talking about. And so John the Baptist told the truth and found himself in jail. He was confronted with that which was wrong. He told somebody the truth. And as he walked, and as he looked at his predicament, he heard something about Jesus, that Jesus was doing. This concerned him, perhaps, and concerned some of his followers. It concerned his followers because his followers visit him in jail. Notice they visit him in jail because this jail is different from our jails. The jails that John was in were normally the jails where all the time the visitors could bring him food, bring him clothing, bring him all the things that were needed because the jail didn't supply them. And while he's in jail, perhaps some of the disciples said, "Are you sure you thought this Jesus was really working? Look where you find yourself." Or perhaps John himself was thinking, "Look at all this stuff I've done." Perhaps there was some discussion here that was going on. And the disciples visit him, they ask him the question, and John says, "Go back and see this man named Jesus." Don't you know that sometimes prison can change your perspective on life? A change in perspective comes when you are in prison. What do you mean? John is no longer in the wilderness, no longer baptizing in the Jordan, no longer having people come to him. John is now in a different place. No longer prophesizing, but he's now questioning. With people like a physician in himself, he seems to be in an impossible place. No one is coming to him now that he's in jail. When you are in prison, your questions change. When you are in prison, your outlook changes. When you are captive, your yearnings change. When your freedom to roam has been taken away,
closed. What are they? We often have these feelings of hopelessness, feelings of despair, feelings of sadness, feelings of anger, feelings of frustration, and even feelings of fear that hold us in prison. We feel stuck in situations that have us built up over time. Or are you stuck in situations where everything seems to happen at once? What do you mean? Your car breaks down. The heating unit goes out. Your child has a fever. The money is low. You're tired for lack of sleep. And no one seems to listen to your case. Your prayers appear to be go unanswered. And I got Jesus on my side. Are you the one? Jesus. Why have I been with you this long? Lord, I've been walking on the battlefield a long time, and things are going the way that I expect. I find myself alone. I find myself still in pain. I find myself, the folk around me are even questioning my behavior. I find myself like Job. This is not what I expect. You giving up smoking the blunt on the corner. You giving up alcohol, drugs. You giving up cussing and fussing. You giving up raising all the cane that you wanted to raise. You giving your life to Jesus, and it's not what you expect. Y'all get quiet with me. Put it another way. Have you ever walked with the Lord and you find yourself in an unexpected place? I didn't expect to be here. I go to church every Sunday. Listen to Smithfield Bible study every Wednesday. I have my little prayer group that I attend. And guess what? I'm in a different place. I'm not where I expect. I give my tithe and offering. I do what the church asks me to do. I participate in ministry. I do all these things. And I find myself in a different place. Jesus, I get a real thing. I expect to have plenty of money in my pocket because that's what the preacher told me. I expect to have all my friends support me because that's what the preacher told me. I expect to have my bills paid, but that's what the preacher told me. I expect that trouble didn't last always, but seemed like it lasted a long time. I expect folks to accept every word that I pray. Just because life sometimes does not live up to our expectations, it does not negate who God is or what God can do. What we expect may not be what God offers. Listen to the words of John. Even though he did not have the right expecting, he did not lose faith. Are you the one, or should we expect another? In other words, I don't mind being here. I just want to know. I may even lose my head. I just want to know if I'm losing my head for the right one. I don't mind being talked about, lied on, cheated. I just want to make sure that I'm been doing this for the right one. Lord, I don't mind being broke as long as I'm doing this for the right one. I don't mind serving and giving up myself as long as I'm doing it for the right one. I don't mind being down and out and telling somebody, being accused falsely, as long as I'm doing it for the right one. John never lost faith, in my perception. In the midst of disappointment, God offers hope. Jesus sends back word to him. Tell him what you see. Here is the whole idea of the text. Jesus does not answer John's question. Are you the one? Or should we expect somebody else? Jesus didn't say, I'm the one. He didn't say, I'm not the one. He just said, go back and tell him what you see. John said, did I get this right, Jesus? Are you the one? I think I got it right. I just want to make sure. Perhaps this is what we need to see. Jesus instead recounts the deeds he has done and he has been accomplishing. tell John what you hear and what you see. The blind receive their sight, the lame walk, the lepers are cleansed, the deaf hear, the dead are raised, and the poor have the good news brought to them. And blessed is the one that takes no offense in me. May I be a little surface here for a moment and say what Jesus is saying to us here is what exactly we need. Jesus says, I am a doctor. These physical maladies that are affecting your world, and I am the one who can give sight. He is saying to us, we have people who are suffering here and now, and if you believe in me, I can stop the suffering. He says, hope is given to the poor. This is what the world needs. This is what the world needs to see, because if all you see is the political mess we are in, hope can be lost. We need to hear a word of hope. We must look around us and see that God is at work in our world. These things cannot be overlooked, preacher. God does care about our soul. He does care about our lives. He does care about morality. But he also cares about the human condition and the place in our situation. In other words, God cares about you. I know things may not be perfect the way that you expect them to be at our age. I expect you to be retired, enjoying life, but every now and then, some folk call me on my phone in the family, and they get on my nerve. Every now and then, things don't turn out the way I expect them to. Every now and then, I got to take some relief at night because my pain hurts so bad. Every now and then, I call the Lord. It doesn't appear he answers my prayer. But God, are you really deal or not? Am I wasting my time? And God says, what you need to do is look around. This is what he's saying. You need to look around. See what's going on. Stop paying attention to MSNBC, CNN, and Fox. You need to look around. Stop looking at what other folk doing and start to see what I'm doing. You need to look around and realize that God is a merciful God. You need to look around to see my goodness and my kindness. You need to look around to see my sympathy and my forgiveness. You need to open your eyes and see my generosity. You need to open your eyes and see my compassion. I know things are the way that you expect them to be because you expect me to come in here as a political deliverer. You expect me to bring my military. You expect me to bring my guns and weapons to turn down Roman rule. Guess what? I'm doing something different than you expected before. You need to open your eyes and see God's goodness all around you. I know we want God to stop the war in Ukraine. We want him to stop nuclear bomb. We want him to stop the government of speaking. God is saying, look around, there is hope. I think our world, we need to hear about folk lives who being changed. And that Jesus speaks about their lives being changed. He says, open your eyes. John, according to Jesus, needs to stretch his imagination. And perhaps we need to open our eyes too. To see the God around us. Here it is, and I'm done. One of the shortest sermons I've been here. Hey, I'm gonna laugh at me. She said, you ain't done. Watch this, I'm done. May I give you an example of how we need to see things differently? Watch this. So, I'm a TikTok viewer. Some scrolling through TikTok and see all these political things about Brittany Griner. Right. Some folk upset. Some folk happy. Some folk one way or another. So I'm scrolling on thing here. Now, Brittany has a lot of things against her. For those who don't like what has occurred. What's she got against her, preacher? She's black. and gay. All that on one person. Black, that's hard enough. Female, and the gay. Then you get caught carrying cannabis to Russia.
Yes, and it wasn't legal.
So, one of the pontificators was criticizing Christians, saying, you all say your prayers have been answered. And he says, no, they haven't. So I listened. I said, why not? He says, your prayers were not answered. He said, let me tell you what happened. He said, this is what happened. He said, there was a U.S. delegation that negotiated with Russia. And when they negotiated with Russia, they negotiated Brittany Griner's release over someone else. Brittany was the main option for the release. And in that particular deal, a deal was broken between two countries that made her release possible. He said, your prayers weren't answered. It was a negotiation that took place. If I could have intervened in this conversation, I would say, open your eyes and see that the blind might see, the lame walk, and the dumb talk. Yes, the U.S. did negotiate a deal with Russia. Yes, a deal was broken for one instead of the other. One was only given the option. Yes, she is black, she is female, and she is gay. Yes, that's all true. But come here for a minute. My prayers got answered. Regardless of what you see, God works through those political systems to ensure things can be made possible. Regardless of how it's done, regardless of how you see it, my prayer was answered. You get it? God is at work in our society and in our world and in our community. We just need to see with different eyes. Having the girls home. Happy she's back with her family. God worked this thing out. Does not mean we do not pray for others, that they will be released. Does not mean that for the folks who are in prison wrongfully, it does not mean that this does not happen. But in this case, in this particular situation, prayer got answered. And prayers are being answered for the others too. How is prayer being answered for the other one? God is still at work. God is still doing some stuff that we cannot see. God is still, and one day, He's going to bring all of them home. In prison by certain things, stipulations, that men's heart need to be changed. And I think that's what Jesus is saying here in the text. Your heart can be changed. He tells the disciples, what did you go out to the desert to see? What did you go out there to see? Did you see something spectacular? Or did you see a prophet proclaiming the good news? What did you go out there to see? Did you go out there to see the world would be changed and all of a sudden the flash of the eye? No, the good news was being preached. Folk lives were being baptized. People were being saved. Repentance was being the topic of the day. That's what you saw. And that's evidence of God's kingdom. Jesus could have talked bad about John the Baptist. But what did Jesus do? And the same thing that Jesus would do for you and for me. Jesus affirmed who he was. He said, there will be times when God will affirm you and lift you up. You missed it. Jesus says, John the Baptist is great. But guess what you can be too? You can be that what? Even greater. Let you know that everything will be all right. There will be times when God will affirm you. There will be times when God will lift you up. There will be times when God will encourage you. Lord, let us look to you to affirm us and give us hope. And when it seems difficult, I'll lift you up. And this is our prayer for others who are still in prison. That God will give them strength to hold on and to hold out. That's the physical prison. But what about the prisons of our lives? That God will give us strength to hold on and to hold out until things get better. God wants us to have commitment. If there's one thing that we can look forward to this Christmas, is that we ought to have some commitment to Jesus Christ. That's what made John the Baptist different. And this is what makes you and me different. Is that we have some commitment to Jesus. Make it plain. Things are never always perfect in life. But if you have Jesus, what better friend you need? Pastor, this Jesus thing ain't working for me. How long did you get it? Pastor, this Jesus thing, I've been on the battlefield a long time, and this Jesus thing ain't working. Come here. You still on the battlefield? It's working. You still here? It's working. And God's going to turn things around in your life if you hold on. Okay, that's the sermon. But let me get one more therapeutic thing to you. And I think oftentimes we overlook in church because we're so busy hooping and hollering, trying to tell folk how to get up, praise and all this. If you are in a prison, if you are in a prison of hopelessness, despair, loneliness, depression, friendless, number one, get some help. You missed it. Go talk to somebody. Huh? Go talk to your pastor. Go talk to your friend. Go talk to your psychiatrist. Go talk to your psychiatrist. Gotta talk to my psychiatrist preacher. I believe in love. Go talk to your psychiatrist. Go talk to mental experts. And if I can't help you, I'm going to get you to somewhere and somebody who can. Number two, take your medication. Okay. Gotta take my medication? Yes. Take your medication. Y'all hear me? Oh, let's shout. Jesus can do it. Yes, he can. And he will. Doctors treat. God provides healing. We as black folk, we scared to say something about that. Sometimes we all need help. And that's why God has the church. For those of us who are fellowshipping together, we can lean and depend on one another. You ought to be able to go to at least one church member that keep your secrets. Y'all may be talking one somebody. Your pastor. Those you talk about, I don't come preach about folk business. You know why? Because I don't want my business out there. On Sunday morning, you hear about what you told me and all that, We had an argument for I ain't going to tell folks, yeah, we argued for stuff like, no, we don't do that. We don't do that stuff. You understand what I'm saying? Being in prison is a difficult thing, y'all. It can take your joy and your hope. It can take everything away from you. But get some help. Where do you start? On your knees? Start on your knees. And if you see somebody who's struggling, help them. This is the time of year, man. And I think that's maybe what's, I'm
I'm kind of melancholy spirit today. You know, this is something, you know, it's kind of like, but God still blesses.